going to do well there. I was completely wrong. My instincts coming into this one are BDS are a good Oregon team. I expect them to do pretty well, especially on the back of a 7-1. Will I again be wildly wrong? Only time will tell. We're going to get into the bans. As you say, BDS VirtusPro will finish off our deciders with this final map. But fear not, there's plenty more good Siege to come as we move on, not today, but as we move on after that in general towards the LCQs as well. Those last chance qualifiers, there's still plenty to be decided yet. Deciding these bans, we have Ying and Grim coming in as our original two bans.
Yeah, I mean, the Ying we saw banned away from BDS in the last map, but the Grim is a really interesting one. Yeah, really before this stage, we barely saw him getting picked up, even towards the start of the stage for the first couple of weeks, simply not a thing. And then over time, we've seen more and more teams weaponize him in very niche situations, which is how the balance for most operators should be. They've got their own place where they all fit into a certain team comp. But VirtusPro made use of it a good few times, again, as we saw from Fresh earlier on, talking about catwalk on Clubhouse. Here, it feels like BDS just respecting it, taking it away. Don't want any funny business where they're just completely overwhelmed by VP. And again, just interesting seeing that come through as a ban. First time for everything, hey?
Certainly is. That really, I think more than I've maybe ever seen with another operator. It charts a path of a real turnaround, doesn't it? You know, going from never seeing Grim picked to now seeing a Grim ban.
Yeah.
Like, what a turnaround we've had there. You know, such good sort of small improvements that have just put him into a real effective sort of area. So hats off to the team who have adjusted Grim and got him bang right into the meta and popularized him. So good stuff. We will head into Oregon then. It's going to be round one. VirtusPro start on the defense. Now, BDS generally very good on Oregon defense. So there's a bit of me thinking, VirtusPro, you need a good start here.
They do. Starting on this defensive side as well. I mean, really looking back at Clubhouse, it's not much to go on to suggest they can turn that around, but different map, different opportunities, different break they've had here to sit down and have that conversation during the downtime between the two games, and hopefully we see a very competitive map coming out here. As much as, again, it's fun to see one team be absolutely dominant, I think for the last map of a best of three, you want to see both teams really going hell for leather to take it all the way through to overtime and potentially all 15. Starting things out, though, it's a bit of a different player bringing along the Monty. Normally it's Brede. Here, though, it's Leakyfat leading the charge on this one, and by the looks of it, pairing up on that west side of the map alongside Shaiko, who's working his way across, and joined up by a couple of others. So a bit of a different flavor of BDS here in Oregon.
Yeah, BDS just wanting to do the full map clear, make sure that they've got control of everything. Still a bit of caution being applied, so the drones obviously haven't seen everywhere, as VirtusPro are completely located down in the basement now. We're going to have a little challenge. Good job, Leakyfat's got that big shield in front of him, as always, comes around just with the pre-fire there onto rear stage and that area at the top of the stairs, but will find no joy as the bullets will just bounce away off the mountain's shield.
But it's good for forcing them back, which was really the game plan, right? 60 seconds in, everyone's back on site. BDS with full control and ability to do whatever they want. It's been good. Shaiko has already got himself down inside a freezer as well. No contest coming through, which is a little bit different. Normally, you'd see teams try and hold those freezer stairs until the hatch inside of security is taken out from behind them, and they're forced back towards site instead. But VP conceded that ground quite early, meaning Shaiko could be in a good spot to apply some pressure here and potentially work his way forwards. Instead, opting to back away, doesn't want to deal with the low open feet holes essentially that are buried into that wall. Means he's quite exposed on his march forward towards deep freeze, and instead he's going to rotate himself away towards bunker here and join his team on that push.
Yeah, there's a lot of posturing and positioning going on at the minute from BDS, but the reality is, given the setup from VirtusPro, this is effectively going to come down to one thing and one thing only, and that's going to be the last 20 or 30 seconds pushing in and trying to find kills. And they are not going to dislodge VirtusPro too heavily, I don't think, before that. They need to use Leakyfat here and push in behind him. Shaiko does manage to get one, but the kills are all going VirtusPro's way until Leakyfat gets in and at least manages to drop always onto the ground. But it is still a 2 versus 4, with one of those two being a Montagna with only a pistol to use. It's not going to be an easy final 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Shaiko as well. I mean, really should be dead to rights. Dan, I think, just turned away thinking he killed him, but obviously had not. they're in a spot where they can start thinking about a plan, but with 3 left on side, there's just a bit too much risk on this one. Nadenham coming on through, Dan does get tagged out by it. The Monty forced now to back away too, and these two have really got to force something out. Shaiko goes down, Leakyfax by himself, but don't think you're going to find yourself with a lucky headshot at that range. BP defend and hold well for this first round.
Yeah, good start from them. Very solid to say that they basically gave up the entire map. They played 3 minutes pretty much with everybody downstairs. It was really well played. BDS had no real option, as I said, other than to, you can posture and position all you want, but there came a point where they just had to push forward and take those fights, and VirtusPro were ready for it, so well played to them, especially with the way that Clubhouse went. VirtusPro showing that they've shaken that one off pretty quickly. We are, of course, 1 map apiece at the moment. 8-6 in overtime. VirtusPro were able to win Cafe, followed by a 7-1 demolition by BDS on Clubhouse in map 2. Brings us to our decider on Oregon, and what a game these two are putting on for us at the minute. We're going to head up to the top floor this time. It's going to be Dorms that will be the second defensive site. A very cheeky frost mat just inside of the opened breach there.
Yeah, the word I had in mind was aspirational. It's certainly optimistic, I'd say, in terms of its positioning.
Hoping for the best.
But if that catches someone, you know what? Fair play. I will eat my words if it comes down to it. I do expect you'll see BDS being a little bit more cautious on that. That one at the bottom of stairs can be really a good catch as well, because drones obviously don't see it running through the building. So a couple of cheekily placed ones here that could net them a nice little bit of tasty prey, assuming BDS aren't paying enough attention.
Well, the thing to learn there, if maybe somebody who likes to play Frost at home and you're thinking, they're wide open, how is that going to work? And you're always putting yours under windows and things. What's happening there with pro teams is they're thinking about high engagement areas. Where are defenders going to be scared to move? Therefore, where are they going to be ADSing? Once you're in your ADS, it's easy to get caught out by a frost mat and not see it at your feet. And those are the areas that they're looking for there. Coming into closet, you're potentially going to be challenged from pit. You're potentially going to be challenged from kids' dorms doors. So you're sort of already in your ADS trying to challenge before you move through into that game area. Same with armory stairs. If there's been a presence of a defender at the top of them stairs or in armory, you're peeking around that corner carefully, because you don't want to get picked up at the bottom of those stairs, because it can be seen from armory door. So that's why they're placing them in those sorts of positions.
I'm sure they know the pasture is dug inside of security, and Leakyfax and Shaiko have been digging around here now for a good while. Not yet able to make him move out. Joystick hits the deck on his backside here, up in T3. Dealt with quite adeptly, I believe. That was by a Lems who got him at range. So it makes his life a bit easier now to start focusing on the push forwards. I think they're looking to try and go in for a push on towards Big Window as well. I think Ranchero was based around there above them all earlier on. Great nade comes over, a lot of damage on towards Shepard, but not finished off.
Not looking good for VirtusPro at the minute. BDS pushing their way up white stairs now. Pasha is being held. He's got the shotgun, so he's ready for those close range engagements. But BDS are just essentially forcing him to move as Leakyfax and Lems pick one apiece up. Shepard goes down as well. 4v2. It's all up to Pasha, who's stuck inside of security. He was being held by Shaiko the whole time. It was smart from BDS. As soon as they recognised that Joystick was out of the game, it meant that Shaiko could just hold that position. So Pasha had 2 choices. You try and strafe across and get down hatch and escape, or you get picked up by Shaiko as you go out of the door. As it was, he was kind of pinned against that other wall as well, because Shaiko had the line across, so even getting to the hatch was too much to ask, really. And BDS take a great round there. Good attack, and they level things up 1-1. So much so, VirtusPro, they don't want any more of that action. They're going to move sites, and they're going to go to meet him.
It's just like we said earlier on about the adaptation in the round. It's just so exciting to watch from both of these teams, really. And it was just a brilliant read by BDS on what was coming, what to expect. As soon as they realised that Pasha was trapped in below, they couldn't clear him out because the nades missed. All right, we'll hold him and just make him absolutely useless. He has to come out and fight us. So again, beautiful adaptation, and I absolutely love to see it. One apiece. Both teams starting out with pretty convincing rounds in response to one another, which probably suggests we are in for a pretty competitive first half.
Fingers crossed. We can but hope, Des. We can but hope. I'm a little bit concerned for VirtusPro after that last round, though. It was a very good start for them in round 1, but BDS were looking the same sort of dominant that they did on Clubhouse then. They just had them at every single turn. So VirtusPro moving on to a tertiary site now. A little bit of a risk. As I said, VirtusPro need a really good start here because you feel that BDS are going to be good on the defense. You know, so let's, for argument's sake, say BDS take meeting. Now it's 2-1. We rinse and repeat. It's a 2-4-1/2 on the defense for VirtusPro. It will not be enough when the sides switch, I don't think. So VirtusPro definitely need to get this third choice site done.
They do, absolutely do, to keep this one running in their favour, or at the very least, get things to start tipping the scales towards the French side. Here we go then, a bit of a focus coming in immediately on towards this walk-in wardrobe. Dan holding close on this one with those impacts in back pockets to deal with anything that comes onto the wall, as BDS is now learning it's not going to be an easy job to get this one completely cleared away. They've got the information coming through on the drones. They're in a spot to try and play a thought for a second, then to play through the verticals to try and find Dan. At this point, he's gone through both of his impacts though, so BDS could get away with this next one, and I'm sure that he knows it. Onwards it comes. No one should be able to get this one off unless there's someone playing in below, and it will force VP to scarper back in towards Kids, right into the corner of this top floor as BDS keep on trying to slowly corral them in to force them to drop through the hatch.
VirtusPro are doing a good job of keeping hold of the top floor for now, but there's still 1 minute 30 left on the clock. There's an awfully long time for them to hold on as that net is now starting to tighten. BDS moving into pit, but always does pick up leak effect. That is a big start there. Joystick surely loses his life. Do they know about the second? They do not! Dan steps out and gets the kill onto a Lems. Great trade from VirtusPro there, but how can Dan hold on?
I mean, he's forced to run there, nade at his feet. You've got no choice but to move, and really just thought he might be able to get away with it, but just couldn't pull it off. And 2 fall down extremely quickly for VP. BDS once again back in full control, making use of the soft wall, but up comes always up white stairs, takes one for himself and equalizes things out into a 2 versus 2. This round is so back and forth, Tim, but it settles with BDS having top floor control and VP on the down.
I feel like VirtusPro just needs somebody to sort of step up and really take hold of this game. You know, in map 1, there was a couple of players who had a big presence in there. I'm looking at Always particularly. You know, he was going really, really well. Pasha's been quiet today, and again, we know Pasha's ability does an awful lot for the team, but they just need somebody to be stepping up at this point and really taking control. Renshiro trying to push on. I don't think he knows about the man inside of showers. He's turned his side to him, but I'm not sure that they're aware of Renshiro's presence, to be honest with you.
Not too sure they are. He could do a lot of work, but Always might get the side swipe onto him first. Finds his man for free. Brede now stuck against 2. Will he be able to complete? Yes, he will. Gun straight up, and both players now maneuvering around to try and find him. He's got no idea where they could be coming in from. They've made a small mistake here, maybe in splitting up. They really want to go for the swing at the same time. They have an idea as to where he is. Or do they? They feel like maybe he's ran out somewhere else, but he hasn't. He's still sat, dug in between these benches, in between the pews, praying for his life. But not a clue where these last 2 are coming from. One up towards his right, they've got the right sort of idea. Turns around for 1, but Always nets the quad kill. VirtusPro are going to take round 3, 2-1 to the Russian side.
A good finish there from VirtusPro. Surprised that Brede was able to get that plant down. It was great play from him, but well worked at the end. There was no, you know, no pressure there, no rush. They were happy to just take their time. Like you said, they created a great position there. There was no way that Brede could win both of those. He had one on either side of him. They were reasonably confident at that point that he was still inside a meeting. I think once you get to rear stage, you know that if he's dashed outside, if he's, you know, waiting back there somewhere, you're likely to have been challenged by then. So the confidence was there in his position, and they were able to close it out. A good round from VirtusPro. They needed that third choice site. Sorry, it leaves them back now down in basement. If they can get this locked down again like they did last time, 3-1 is a great start for them.
And once again, you're going to see League of Fat moving over to playing on the Monty. So despite it not feeling too effective in the previous round, I guess that's kind of a lie. It was effective in the early round because 60 seconds in, they'd got all of VirtusPro back on site, so played it out really well in that sense. But when it came around to the actual site execute, that's where things started going a little bit awry. But nevertheless, BDS feel they can course correct here, still make use of that Monty to great effect. And so they're going to try it once again to try and win out this downstairs site.
I don't feel that the Monty had the most impact last time around.
Just in that first 60 seconds, yeah, that was it really.
They need to get more out of it, you know, is what I'm saying there. They need to, Leakyfact probably needs to be a little bit more aggressive on it. It was very late in the round that he was pushing down rear stage stairs. Really, you want that Monty in there. He needs a bit of cover, of course. He needs support, but you want that Monty in and around site, really making him uncomfortable. You know, if you've got players around pillars and electrical, for example, you want the Monty in there forcing them out. That's part of Monty's job, is to apply pressure and is to force operators to move as well as to gain intel. So they definitely need that use. Dan is going to have taken some damage there, but will continue this fight on the top floor. Does get himself into a better position here if he wants to drop away. He was a little bit stuck in the corner in the last round, but this time he is able to wriggle away.
And as long as they've got control over kitchen, which they've secured with things like mute jammers, they're in a really good spot to be able to just tuck away. I mean, C4 for a drone works as well. Obviously wasn't the intended target, but you'll take it. As long as they've got kitchen control, they can drop from top floor into kitchen, then rotate down into security and drop back on towards site. It's almost like playing the old school SSG Roman Clubhouse here, just making use of all 3 floors as part of their defense. So rather than kind of recoiling away from the Monty and giving up that ground even quicker because you respect the Monty, what they're actually looking to do is play even more aggressive into it and look to challenge it and slow the team down even further. Leakyfact was going a little bit low then. It's still Pasha the first one to fall, though, as Shaiko finds him out.
Done a great job on the drone game here at VirtusPro. They've managed to pick up 7 of them. There's only 3 remaining for BDS, so they're going to be playing with very little information because, of course, you need to leave those drones potentially for flank watch, so you can't be sending them all into sight as well. So at this point, they're likely working with what they've got, and then the rest is going to have to come from Leakyfact, who has pushed himself down Freezer stairs now. A minute left to go. This is where we need that aggression from the Montagna. It's not going to work, though, as Joystick picks up an important kill onto him.
I mean, I think he was looking where? I mean, Deep Freeze was really the only place to be looking, but I think he maybe got recalled out there by an impact, got himself sawed down regardless, and Joystick picks him up pretty much for free. BDS is also down on the deck here as well, so yet again, not really seeing the impact from that Monty we'd like to see. Didn't really speed up their own clear particularly, and BDS are just falling like flies onto their backside one after the other. Joystick into a 3, maybe try and look and convert it into even more of the back of this round, find himself an ace if things carry on at this pace. The last 2 are pushing in from the same spot. Dan's going to deny the ace away, but it does most definitely secure this round for VirtusPro, who was sat in a 4 versus 1.
Please, Dan, you've still got your Gon 6 out. This is not going to end well for... Sorry, Renshiro. Still got the Gon 6 out there. Not going to end well for you. It doesn't, as he gets taken out by the shotgun. Well predicted with the flash going off in front of him. Just knew that somebody was likely to push around the corner at that point. It was indeed Renshiro, and that's going to be VirtusPro taking round 4. As I said, they really needed that one. It gives them the 3-1. They've now guaranteed an even split at least. You know that they've got another round in the bank, I think, at least here out of the 2 sites that they've got left open to them. So BDS on the back foot here. We expect better from BDS on defense than attack, I would suggest, on Oregon. So there is, I would think, probably going to be a comeback in the second half. But, you know, we thought that potential on Clubhouse and it never really came.
Never materialised, did it? So it could very much prove to be the same here. Let's find out, though. Only 2 more rounds to go in this half before we start to see what unfolds when it's VirtusPro on the attacking side of Oregon. Here, though, I'd argue they look incredibly comfortable on the defensive side. Even when BDS have...
They look great.
Even when BDS have dragged along that Monty, it's like they've just said, well, we've seen this before. Like, we know what to expect. Even if it's Leakyfact playing it and not Brede, we're just ready. Who cares?
Looking great at the minute. Certainly woken up from the slumber that they found themselves placed in on Clubhouse. VirtusPro, the dominant force at the minute. The half switch is going to be, we always say, you know, that how important it is, but it's going to be potentially decisive in this matchup. BDS getting themselves onto the attack and just whether they can or cannot deliver. Shaiko just looking for a cheeky little peek underneath the master door there. Is not going to find his man. It's all reinforced off. So we are going to have Leakyfact moving through Freezer, though, just going for the potential sneak attack. I don't know if he thinks that there's somebody down here or not, but Alems is going to open things up with a pick onto Joystick. Not in tier 3 again, please, Joystick.
Alems has just got him covered, hasn't he, up there? He's getting nothing done from tier 3 in this game. But Alems, pretty much for the team, has been playing this role consistently where he is the solo bolo player, off running around the map, trying to make things happen. Normally on things like the Nook. Here, Pasha is going to find him out. His impact's going to be completely 0.
There you go. That's the man underneath that they were looking for, and that is now a headache for BDS to try and deal with because they've got Pasha on their flank somewhere. Obviously, they have to continue pushing towards the site, but with 1 minute 50, I'd like to see maybe a bit of decisiveness from BDS to say, we actually need to get down to kitchen, we need to get down to security, we need to try and deal with this because a plant could be difficult if we try to go through with it whilst they are underneath.
It's interesting, they're fully reinforced off Trophy. Normally you only see the one wall, the left-hand one reinforced off here, so you can challenge anyone that takes control of Trophy, but complete and utter full lockout by VirtusPro does give a lot of comfort to BDS, who can now slowly work their way through and set this up the way that they want to without any fear of what's going on inside of Attic. Sees the angle as well, almost manages to catch his man, but just about gets away with a few scrapes and bruises. Shepard down pretty low at the same time, and he is challenging on towards Alems, who's pushing in solo here on his way into Attic.
VirtusPro seriously flirting with danger and death at the minute at every opportunity. We seem to see the chip damage coming in, but forget chip damage. Shepard's going to take Alems down in Attic, and that gives VirtusPro an advantage. 55 seconds left to go. Shaiko's going to hold that angle, but he can't hold it forever, clearing out some utility to give him an opportunity to push forward. But BDS, 45 seconds left to go, need to get moving. Damage taken as soon as they try to move in. They've got the top of white locked down, though. Shaiko finds always, and that leaves us now 3 versus 3.
That's what they were looking for, really, and slowly they're starting to creep their way forward. Shaiko's been a bit tentative about his push in, understandably so, as Dan just completely domes him. Bride's inside and got into a good spot here to get this plant down. No C4 on the other side to stop this one, but he so sorely needs the cover. The cover was going to be there, but Bride once again, he's in a 1 versus 2. He'll have no chance to pull that one off. It's going to be 4-1 to VirtusPro.
This is turning out to be a bit of a masterclass of Oregon at the minute. Shepard able to get in there, cool as ever, and get that job done. Bride a little bit unfortunate there, an extra second or two, and maybe he can get that gun up. He never really had a chance to fight. He needed Renshiro to win that fight at the top of White Stairs, keep himself in the round, but just wasn't possible. And just as BDS did to VirtusPro on Clubhouse, VirtusPro are now starting to run away with this. BDS, I feel like they desperately need this last round on the attack, Des. A 5-1 to come back from. Are you telling me this VirtusPro will not find one site that they can win twice? Because that's the reality. BDS will then need to win their third choice site at least once, even if they want to take it to overtime.
That's it. It's going to have to be a big swing in that second half. We'll see, though, if this is the exact reverse of what we saw back on Club. That 5-1 half that we saw at the start for BDS could well flip and be in VirtusPro's favour here. And it would take some real efforts from BDS to swing it back the other way. Now, every time I feel that we see a certain pick made on this map, we always expect absolute spice. And namely, I'm looking towards Likifak here, picking up on the Amaru. In a spot to come flying in through Kids window, for example. We've seen it out of BDS. I want to say now about 2 years ago, there was a fantastic round that got showcased involving BDS, where we saw an Amaru come flying in through Kids window, while we saw executes happening elsewhere around the map, and it was absolute magic. Here, it's straight inside of tier 3, and it is surprising no one. They've got the answer. He's down but not out. And Pasha, he wants his one. He wants his one. He wants his KD. Just got to find the player and put him in the ground. There we go.
Pasha needs to be careful. Bullets raining in around him there as he confirms that kill onto Likifak. But as you said, just so well read. And that's not the end of the world for VirtusPro. Losing a man, not ideal, but so long as they get the trade each time, taking down Shaiko as well, a big danger there. Oh, it's just so free. Always finds Renshiro, and this is falling apart. BDS just seem to be a different team to the one we saw back on Clubhouse right now.
Yeah. I feel like this round was a bit of a Hail Mary from BDS. Like, they've just kind of gone for it. The Amaru with Shaiko charging in towards top floor, for example. Either they've all tried to catch VirtusPro off guard, or they've kind of said, what's the worst that can happen? Let's just give it a whirl. It'll definitely feel a bit chaotic to go for that like latter style of play, but at this point, everything has practically fallen apart for them, and it's only down to 2 players left, Alems and Bride, to salvage something from this last round.
This is it, but there's a game to be won here, Des, and BDS need to make sure that they're doing everything they can to get that done. I'm sure it is the case, but as you say, maybe they just threw a few things at the wall to see what sticks. They're certainly in the finding out stage now, so shall we say, in round 6, and this is not going to be good for them. It could be a 5-1 half, and as I say, it just puts them on such a back foot, even when they are going to be stronger on the defence, I expect, at least. It's not a guarantee, but
hopeful, Tim, hopeful.
It's just going to be so much work for them to come back from here. Elems is just going to be getting into the top floor, ripping up those floorboards, looking for anything he can get going. Takes out the FNAT mine there just to prevent any opportunity for them to make the challenge from underneath. 50 seconds left to go. BDS playing it cool, playing it calm. They're waiting for their opportunities here, but VirtusPro are just serving up absolutely nothing right now.
No. I mean, why would you as well? Why put yourself in that position to say that as a player approaches the top of the freezer? Maybe I'll fancy himself a go here, but Pasha's just going to dig in and wait and just hope that someone hits the door, shoots it open, whatever it might be, just gives themselves away. As Brede is looking in towards security itself, as soon as there's a whiff that he's here, Pasha is going to spring into action.
He will know as well on the Fenrir that the gadget had been activated.
Wait,
Pasha unfortunately takes down Shepard after he killed Elems. That's certainly not ideal. Maybe he wanted the kill onto Elems, who knows? But Brede is going to be able to strafe around, pick up the man on freezer stairs, 4 seconds, and this is going absolutely nowhere. Has to take the goo mine out. That's the round done, and that is VP with a 5-1 half. Anything you can do, we can match, they say, after they suffered the same fate back on Clubhouse, and this could well be a 7-1 return shot from VirtusPro.
Oh boy, oh boy. I did say earlier on, I would hate to see a really dominant one-sided final map, given how the series has gone. I'd have loved to have seen a really down-to-the-wire game like we had back on Cafe, but so far it has been the VirtusPro show. But as always, 2 halves to a game of Siege. You could now see a very different game erupt going into the second part of things. BDS go on the defense, start off on the downstairs. A good first round here could really spell some chaos for the rest of the game.
Here we go then. BDS need a round, simple as that. There's a little bit of me, Des. You know, we said we wanted that close final map. We certainly haven't had it yet, but there is a little bit of me that is expectant of BDS here. They're such a quality team, and we know that they are solid here on Oregon, and particularly on the defense. I've just got a feeling that maybe they're going to give VirtusPro a run for their money, and if we wanted a close match, what better way to get it than to see a 1-5 half run all the way back in.
Could be even crazier, Tim. That's what we all love to see. Overtime is the demand, but whether or not BDS are able to rise to those demands is a different conversation. Let's get things underway, though. Monty on side here for Shepard, so no shortage of shield operators coming into this game from both sides. Really looking in towards things like the Capitao as well. We speak about this operator a lot. Don't always see it used, admittedly, to the best effect, but just brings so much. Has smokes, has a hard breach gadget, definitely not a bad gun. Extremely speedy as well. Like, just a lot offered there by a single operator. And for the longest time, I've thought he's actually really, really strong, and that not enough teams really appreciate exactly how valuable he can be to a lineup. Of course, some maps dictate that you need to bring a certain attacking lineup. You need the soft destruction, for example, something he doesn't offer. But when you have that flexibility, for me, should be one of those go-to operators you're bringing along every time.
Dan was so close to taking out the mirror window on that long-range angle then, but the Twitch drone was taken out just before it could be found. Always is going to be in kitchen. Moving across, I think they're fairly happy, VirtusPro, that they've got the top floors locked down, so the tension will turn towards the basement. They're going to start opening up those hatches and applying a little bit of pressure to Pillar.
Where they go from here as well. I mean, they had a bit of an insurance policy in the Monty, having the hard breach gadgets in back pocket as well. Just in case Pasha got sniffed out early on, so no Hibana on side, which is quite rare when coming in towards the site, given there are a few hatches to get opened up on your march on through. Shepard going to work his way down through Freezer, has the blessing with that shield that he can't be shot by the feet holes that you normally see inside of this wall. It feels here like BDS have got more head height ones to be able to challenge into behind a mirror window. But as said, he can just march on forwards here. I just hope that he's at least a tickle more respectful than what happened last time around for BDS when they went marching forward to believe it was Leakyfac and he got put in the dirt by Joystick for practically free.
Renshiro just going to hold his position, feed back the info on what's going on in Freezer. But they're aware and they start dealing with it, force him out of position. Going to take out the Gemini clone. We'll get no more than that. And Renshiro takes a lot of damage as well. The march of the Monty continues on. But how about that for a Nitro? Surely that's got to be fed back. Shepard's got to be screaming. There's a Nitro coming here. It goes over his head. Does pick up Dan. And it's starting to look a little bit difficult for VirtusPro to get any headway here.
I really thought he was going to find two with that C4. Unlucky to only get the one, but always is cleaning house here as well. Two still left on their feet. It's 3 on side for VP. One of those being a Monty. It's looking real dire for the French side here as well. One more push comes in. Brede yet again is left in a clutch situation. Him and Nello today have been in so many of these, but unfortunately has simply not found the better side of them. He'll try and do what he can. Looks in for the one, can't find it, gets the man. Pasha hits the deck. It's him coming up against Joystick. He's tucked into a corner. Drone on side, shotgun finds the man. As I say it, Brede comes up with a huge 3K and keeps BDS alive.
Brede just wins those, simple as that. He is just so solid in those clutch situations and continues to impress year after year with moments like that. Brede just rolling back the clock and doing the business. 1v2 locks it out, and that could be the moment, that could be the spark, the catalyst that BDS need to fire them back into this on Oregon.
Whew, okay, just as I was saying that today the supports really haven't had a good time in these clutches. Brede pulls out exactly what he was once regarded for. Massive clutch player for BDS historically. And sure, in this series, maybe hasn't been the big standout performer that they sometimes need. But sometimes one round can be enough. Maybe that fires BDS up. Maybe it gives them that little bit of breathing room that they need to still get this one going. It's still 5-2. It's still a very tall mountain to climb, but it only begins with one round.
It's one round at a time. It's all that you can do. We talk to the players so often, Des. You know, we see it in interviews. We talk to them behind the scenes and we say, how do you deal with those situations? You're 5-1 down, you're 6-0 down. How do you do it? How do you fight back? And the answer is always the same pretty much, and that is you don't think about the score, you just take one round at a time. All that's in front of BDS right now is round 8, and that is going to be a defense of domes. They head up to the top floor. For me, they need at least another 2 rounds, Des, before they let VirtusPro get an attack done. The likelihood is that VirtusPro will find a round somewhere here. You know, the hunt now for BDS is likely towards overtime. You know, to completely shut VirtusPro out is going to be a difficult task, and if you manage it, fantastic. But really, the aim is delay, delay, delay. So for me, BDS, get the next 2 rounds, get it back to 5-4, and then at least it feels doable.
That's it. But again, it's just such a big hill to climb. But the thing is, I've doubted teams so many times and just said there's no way they can pull this back. And then by some magic, it seems to happen. We saw it back on map 1, let's not forget as well. Real magic was shown there, unfortunately. BP taking it away from BDS, but still a very entertaining map it turned out to be. Here, Leakafak on the mirror, one of the slower operators in the game, dancing around, trying to take a couple of early firefights and not being rewarded with any. Instead, just reminding VP that, hey, they are still out on the map. They are still there to threaten and, you know, aggress if needs be. Just forcing them to get back on the drones that little bit longer and hopefully slow them down enough that mistakes start becoming a bit more costly. Mirror window, another one being zapped out here. Both taken out by the attackers. Good start.
Yeah, big shot from Dan there. Not always the easiest to pick up. We saw it missed earlier. You know, those drones are being watched for, and it can be a tricky long shot to make. No range anymore on those Twitch drones, of course. There used to be a little bit of a range to that laser, and you had to get within a certain distance, but now not the case. The Gemini decoy will be taken out. Brede just tries to hit him with the fadeaway, but cannot find his man as he drops down into Freezer. Pasha's there waiting to potentially put him on ice, but Brede, he knows better than to overcommit to that. He's going to keep himself in behind the lockers, but whilst he's down there, VirtusPro, they have to be aware, they have to assign somebody to him.
I absolutely love this shotgun. It just barks whenever it starts blasting away, so they've got to be so respectful. Surely they know when they heard that come through that it's Ella sat in spot with a shotgun in hand, and you do not want to be running face first into that, let alone any shotgun in the game. But Ella's definitely not the kind of one you want to run into, especially with the rate of fire that it has on side as well. Tucked in pretty tight down here inside of Freezer, again, just causing a bit of a headache for VirtusPro. Similar stuff to what we saw back on Cafe when it was BDS leaving members lurking out in the map until later on, and then striking as the round came towards a close. Brede shut down by Always, and this should be a bit of movement starting to come into effect. Great little backstab there coming out from Always too.
Absolutely, and VirtusPro aren't going to get many better opportunities than this. They have to get this done. League of Back is down. It's effectively 5 versus 3. There's only 10 seconds left, though. How many times have we said of this team that the clock is usually the problem? The kills start coming. Joystick, Elems, though, he has a response. Shaiko steps up and goes big with a double, and it's going to be another round for BDS as VirtusPro, despite having the advantage, despite doing everything that they had in 2 minutes and 50 seconds, could not get the last step in those final 10, and that is going to be BDS 3-5, and the comeback could be on.
Couldn't it just? This is starting to feel a little bit spicy now. That one was quite a convincing hold towards the round end from BDS, and for all we said about, oh, this feels so hard, they can't pull this back from 5-1, it's on the way. There's a few people on the edge of their seats here, Tim. I'm not talking about you either, who just really aren't sure which way this one could end up going.
I live there. I live there, Des.
It's the most worn out part of your seat, mate. Everything else is immaculate, but the edge of it.
Yeah, it's untouched. It's just covered in a fine layer of dust, is the rest of the seat.
It is one of those. It is one of those. BDS once again starting out on their roam around the map. Again, we've come used to this now, seeing them get out there, get busy, start setups, and really try and slow the side of VirtusPro down. Here, set up inside of Attic, because controlling of that hatch means that you can maintain a lot of control over meeting itself. The attackers really need to get in on that top floor and do a little bit of a slowdown up there, which means you're likelihood going to see someone playing around games and trying to contest on towards the walk-in wardrobe wall. You'll see someone inside a trophy contesting in towards bedroom early. They've also got the hold, though, inside of security and inside a kitchen. So quite a lot being challenged here by BDS, but it means they've got multiple layers of defense they can fall back to, which means more and more time can be wasted for VP.
Oh, BDS just holding on over and over again. How long can they continue for? I said that they needed 2 more. Well, they've got 1 of them. This is the second that they need to be holding on to. And this is where it gets difficult. This is the 3rd choice site now. This is meeting. VirtusPro going to be looking towards that top floor. But that last round for VirtusPro fans is going to be a bit of a worry. I mentioned time. I mentioned the clock. It's the one sticking point that seems to come back over and over for this team on attack, and it raised its head there. There was too little time left for them to do the work they needed to do, and if they allow that to continue, it could be a problem. Joystick knows the Lems is down here. Is he going to get his man? He goes through. He needs to get aggressive and win this. He does. What a start for VirtusPro. Joystick getting the job done in the basement.
I really wanted to say, my head says it's because of the gun that he's got Amaru here, and the 3 flashes are always welcomed as well. My hopeful inside me really wanted to believe they were going to try and make a play up meeting hatch, and now they've got control on the downstairs. It's not a far gone possibility, but they need Shaiko out of sight. That is number 1 first and foremost, and there are 2 or 3 players here all committed to trying to make that happen.
The thing is Shaiko's attention is drawn towards the front side. It could be an opportunity for a backstab. There it comes, but no! You don't get away with that on Shaiko. He wheels around 180 and takes his man down, but the trade is there. It's 3v3. A Shepard, he's going to stick this. Dana's got the cover. Shepard can get away.
Oh,
this is not going to be easy for BDS to fight back from. They're outside of the map. They've got the angles that they need.
This is almost impossible to fight back as well, because they've got full garage control. It's a single doorway you can fight in through. Sure, you can take top floor control if you want, but Shepard's already worked his way up there. Maybe they can long arm this, but you're exposed to the front door if you try and do that. Just so many things work against them that we're going to have to see some real smart play coming out of the defenders here to swing this one back. Shepard's gone down. Leaky Fac's trying to long arm on it. He's going to go down to his man Renshiro, the last one left alive in a 1 versus 1. There's only 10 seconds to go. Renshi, you've got to move now, my man. He's left it too late. He's going to try and stick this one out, and Dan knows that he has to be on the diffuser. He'll put him in the ground. VirtusPro up to match and series points. Heck, at this point, call it European League points.
We knew that this moment was likely to come. BDS fans knew this moment was likely to come. A 6-0 half is a very rare thing. The question is, has it come too soon for BDS? I was hopeful on their behalf that they would get at least one more round and go 4-5 before they had to face that match point at potentially 4-6. But now it's staring them in the face. It's 6-3. It's VirtusPro, one round away from, as you say, taking the top spot in EUL. BDS, there are no more mistakes. They get to go back through their primary and secondary sites now. It will be basement. It will be dorms. This could all come down to meeting in round 12.
A real heartbreak there. I think, Shaiko's going to say, what more can I do, man? Like, I've contested 3 players pushing in through south. I've spun and taken down Joystick, who's coming through the hatch after deleting a lens downstairs.
Oh.
There's nothing more he could have done, and they still couldn't get it over the finish line. Again, I don't want to kind of pull back to other players on BDS and be saying these guys simply haven't played to the level required, but if you want to be champions of Europe, you've got to be playing at a higher standard than what they've let slip by in this game.
It was just such a smart heads-up play as well from VirtusPro. That was experience coming out of Shepard. That's Shepard saying, I can get this down, and his team trusting him. And he was not wrong, absolutely perfectly positioning. He knew that he could get that down. He had confidence in his cover from Dan, and it was just really well played to get that plant down and then to be able to defend it. Renshiro was so unfortunate. He goes out and gets the man outside. He takes Shepard down, but he just didn't have the time that he needed. This is a game that has been full of trials and tribulations. There's going to be elation and heartache, no doubt, by the end of it between these two teams, because they've truly thrown everything at it. Yes, they've both qualified to the Atlanta Major, but there is more at stake. There always is in these matchups. There is pride, and for BDS, there is those few extra morsels, those SI points that could at the end of the day, be the difference.
Really can't ignore that there are 6 frag grenades on side in this game, Tim. That's 6 of 8 in the game at the minute on the attacking operator lineups. We haven't seen 8 for a while. Sometimes you'll see the 4 with Sledge and Iana, for example, but seeing all 6 coming along, it's a little bit of a rare one. So we've got to see those connecting onto targets in this round. And Shaiko,
beautiful.
I tell you what, you cannot give this man an inch. He will take a mile.
That is absolutely phenomenal shot. Shooting uphill, as we call it, is always difficult in Siege. Generally, the player with the height advantage will win a lot of those fights, but Shaiko proving there is no advantage that can be found against him. We're going to have utility raining onto electrical here. The VirtusPro certainly want to get control of Pillar, want to get themselves down there, but Shaiko is still wedged in. He's coming back from orders. He wants some afters here.
He's on the Warden, and that's a good old throw back that one. He's in such a good spot playing on the Warden here as well that realistically it doesn't matter what comes into him. The 3 extra flashes in the back pocket of Always, for example, he's ready and armed to deal with it. He's got a Lems, his brother in arms, sat on the pillar across from him. Those 2 are an iron fortress to try and break down, and you've got the assistance of Leakyfat playing on site. It's so hard to push in on this top side. They keep on sending these Roteros in and now trying to force Shaiko away. They know that he's playing on Shaiko's spot. It's named after him, for God's sake. But at the minute, largely immovable, and Leakyfat steps up when needed. Pasha deleted, 1 inside of V-Box. They've found yet another. It's a 3 versus 2. Shaiko's fell down, but there's 3 standing here to deal with Always and Joystick.
Time is going to be the problem once again. VirtusPro are going to have to start taking risks as the clock reaches 19 seconds. How's that for a risk? Always manages to take down Brede. 2v2. Numbers are even. BDS are looking towards the clock. They're hoping that it saves them at this point. Ilems peeks, gets one. No, he doesn't get the second. It comes down to a 1v1. And it's all up to Renshiro to run away. He finds the kill. And BDS keep fighting 4-6.
Jesus Christ, that was squeaky bum time. I just thought to myself, Renshiro, run! But obviously he had no idea if the player was coming in through supply or was rounding down through laundry. He had to just kind of stake a guess and planted his feet effectively, spun at just the right moment because you saw their hearts breaking there, but Renshiro gets the kill when it's needed most. Another wonderful round. BDS's defensive setup so hard to crack. That little triangle they had of Leakyfat, Lems, and Shaiko, we've seen it a million times. It made it really difficult for VP to really get any kind of presence coming in, but the chaos of a push coming down through tier 3, or through tower, someone dropping in through E-Box, the push through construction, they gave VDS 3 things to worry about at the same time. And in all the chaos and confusion, they do manage to break that hold, albeit only temporarily. And Renshiro has said, really does what matters most, winning that 1 versus 1 gunfight. 4 and 6, still 2 rounds to go. But Tim, we could be getting that epic finale we were after.
I felt for Renshiro there because we were all screaming, run away. But I feel like he was just caught in that no man's land of, I don't know which way he's going. Yes. And he didn't want to be the player that got caught sprinting out of ADS and unable to take the fight. So well played from Renshiro. That was some cool nerve to be prepared for that gunfight and to win it. But yeah, I think, you know, anybody sat there thinking, why didn't he just go to the rotate? I think he was unsure as to whether the player was actually pushing there potentially. So ultimately, good decision made. And what a game this is shaping up to be. You just feel it on the cards already. I said it last round, I think. This is careening at breakneck speed towards a 12th round decider on meeting.
Oh, man.
There's one more round for BDS to get. It feels like it's almost written in the stars, Des. With you and I casting it, it feels like it's almost already in those extra 3 rounds of overtime.
Oregon map 3s are always special because of the Damwon Kia phase game that we had back in Sweden. We reminisce on this an awful lot, but it went all the way to the 15th round. It was a 1v1 between Rin and Souls won the 1 versus 1, a challenge from game in towards kids, and it just took that one critical shot that propelled FaZe through to go on and win the whole thing. So whenever we come round, especially towards overtime in map 3 on Oregon, I just get those chills. I just get that sensation again. And I'm really praying here that BDS get these 2 rounds because, my God, would it be an epic conclusion to the European League for 2023.
Well, it's exactly what we wanted out of Oregon. We came in, we were a little bit disappointed almost. That's nothing against VirtusPro, but at the half, 5-1, we thought, no, not like this. We want a close matchup. We want something to get excited about. I want something to shred my voice over. And boy, is this game starting to deliver. And don't you worry, we will give it every single ounce that it deserves as this one goes on. Utility is going to be cleared out with the Retero. Drone Renshiro going nowhere for the time being, was going to stick around in trophy, but does then dip away. It's those thoughts that start to creep in now where you think, don't over-aggress, don't over-peak, give them nothing.
You're seeing the slight difference here as well, where it's been nades tossed in towards trophy normally, but obviously with ADSs on side in the form of Renshiro, and also there were my magnets in form. Well, why not bring out the Reteros? It's exactly what we've seen Shepard doing. Really high value from the first 2 that he's tossed in, and still 2 more to go. Joystick joined out towards this west side as well by the Iana of Always as they try and sweep their way across. Maybe anticipating running into someone here, given that single reinforced wall inside of Showers. There'll be a little bit of extra attention paid to droning, just in case there's anyone lurking in a corner waiting to catch them out on their run through the map.
Leak of Fact needs to be very careful. I was just watching his movement across. No presumption there that the white window may be watched. He manages to get himself across and into Showers, I think. He's just in and around that corridor, but definitely needs to be careful because the thing is, Pasha can just hold him out of sight now if VirtusPro choose to start getting aggressive towards it. If they decide that they can take the 4v4 and push forward. Again, BDS just exposing themselves a little bit unnecessarily at times here and giving VirtusPro those opportunities just to pick up a little headshot.
I mentioned this difference between the 2 teams as well, where BDS have left one of these trophy walls soft to be able to challenge through it. And Shaiko nearly paid the price as Down was just holding that literal pixel angle, really giving definition to the term pixel, waiting for someone to show their head, and it was Shaiko who nearly got caught out, but for now stays alive. VirtusPro with 45 seconds on the clock are already squaring up for this hit on towards the southeast side of this map. They've really ignored everything out towards Attic. They've not bothered with a double window, for example. There are several things working against them, but Brede, he has got a real good chance to be a bit of a backstab here. Round in the corner, Renshiro's giving it away for free. Joystick's fallen down, Shaiko almost falling, turns around, the MPX, a bit of a pea shooter. Not enough damage, 3 left standing, Tim.
It's ticking down. This is VirtusPro's opportunity. Dan manages to get Leak of Fact. What can Brede do to support LMs? What can Brede do full stop? It's 1v3. LMs manages to get 2, but Shepard picks up the final triple kill in the 1v1. LMs cannot do enough, and that is going to be that. VirtusPro, they take map 3, and what a contest it was.
And if there was any doubt that they are the best team that we have in Europe this year, well, this just absolutely cements it for them. All 150 points being taken away, first place in stage 1, first place in stage 2, and you know full well they are going to put on one hell of a show when it comes to the major. Condolences to BDS falling just short, but they still get 130 SI points. They finished second, Tim. They shouldn't be ashamed of this performance. Yes, some members could have played better. Shaiko especially these last 2 days. What an absolute demon he's been.
That's it. It's always tough to take a loss, but BDS have at least got the major still to look forward to. That was done and dusted.